Let us begin with a provocation. Most educated people are not educated at all. They are schooled. There is a difference, and that difference is the distance between being shaped by others and shaping yourself. Schooling is what happens to you. Education is what you do to yourself. Schooling fills you with what others have decided you should know. Education is the relentless, often disgusting pursuit of what you decide matters, whether anyone else approves or not. Disgustingly educated is not about degrees. It is about depth. It is knowing things you have no business knowing. It is understanding systems most people don't even know exist. It is being able to see the puppet strings while everyone else watches the puppet show. Society has convinced you that education is a piece of paper, that learning is something you finish, that knowledge is a destination you arrive at, after which you stop. This is the degree trap. The degreed person says, I have learned. The disgustingly educated person says, I am learning. One is a statement of completion. The other is a statement of identity. One stops, the other becomes. The degree trap convinces you that you are done, that you have paid your dues, that you can now coast on what you learned decades ago. Meanwhile, the world changes, knowledge evolves, and you become obsolete while still breathing. The disgustingly educated person has no graduation. They have no finish line. They know that every answer opens 10 new questions. Every depth reveals a deeper depth. They are students for life, and they would have it no other way. The disciplines of disgusting education. How does one become disgustingly educated? It requires disciplines that schooling never teaches. The first, reading beyond respectability, reading what you are not supposed to read. The respectable person reads what everyone reads. They know what everyone knows. They think what everyone thinks. The disgustingly educated person reads the margins, the footnotes, the suppressed, the forgotten. They know that truth often hides where respectability forbids looking. The second discipline, learning across boundaries. The specialist knows everything about nothing. The disgustingly educated person knows something about everything. They connect domains others keep separate. Biology illuminates economics. History illuminates psychology. Physics illuminates philosophy. The disgustingly educated person steals insights from every field and makes them their own. They are intellectual poachers, not farmers confined to one field. The third discipline, learning from the unrespectable. The disgustingly educated person does not care about credentials. They care about wisdom. If wisdom comes from a street vendor, they listen. If wisdom comes from a child, they learn. The credential worshiper dismisses anyone without papers. They miss wisdom everywhere. The disgustingly educated person knows that truth has no degree. It speaks through anyone, anywhere, at any time. They are always listening. The fourth discipline, learning what hurts. Not all knowledge is comfortable. Some truths wound. Some insights destroy what you thought you knew. The disgustingly educated person does not flinch. They read books that challenge their identity. They explore ideas that threaten their beliefs. They follow arguments to conclusions they wish were not true, because they know that comfort is the enemy of education. The fifth discipline, learning by doing. Knowledge that is not lived is not really known. You can read about swimming forever. Until you enter the water, you do not know swimming. The disgustingly educated person does not just read about business. They start something, fail, and learn. They do not just read about relationships. They love, lose, and grow. They do not just read about life. They live it. The sixth discipline, forgetting what you learned. Not all knowledge serves forever. Some knowledge becomes obsolete. Some becomes a prison. The disgustingly educated person knows when to unlearn. They question their assumptions. They doubt their certainties. They are willing to be wrong about what they thought they knew, because they know that today's wisdom may be tomorrow's prison. The disgusting depths. Disgustingly educated means knowing things that make others uncomfortable. It means understanding systems that others prefer to ignore. It means seeing the machinery of manipulation while others enjoy the ride.
They know how advertising manufactures desire. They know how media shapes perception. They know how institutions create consent. They know how language frames reality, and this knowledge makes them dangerous to those who benefit from your ignorance. The disgustingly educated person is not a consumer of information. They are a processor. Information enters them, gets analyzed, gets connected, gets understood. They do not just know, they comprehend. Most people collect facts like stamps, neatly arranged, never used. The disgustingly educated person uses facts like tools to build, to fix, to create, to destroy what needs destroying. Facts are not trophies, they are instruments. They know that knowledge is not for showing off, it is for seeing through. It is for navigating a world designed to confuse. It is for being free when others are merely distracted.
The cost. But there is a cost to disgusting education. You become strange. You cannot have the conversations everyone else is having. You cannot share their concerns, their excitements, their dramas. You have seen too much. You become burdened. You see problems others do not see. You understand dangers others cannot perceive. You carry the weight of awareness while others dance in ignorance. You become unemployable in the usual sense, not because you lack skills, but because you see through the games. You cannot pretend that meaningless work matters. You cannot salute flags you know are fabric. You become dangerous to power. Power relies on ignorance. It relies on people not knowing how things really work. The disgustingly educated person knows, and knowing they cannot be controlled. You become alone in ways you never anticipated. Not completely alone, there are others, always others, who have also seen, but they are rare, and finding them is like finding water in the desert. This is the price of disgusting education. The question is not whether you are willing to pay it. The question is whether you are willing to pay the alternative, a life of comfortable ignorance, of cheerful manipulation, of being used without knowing you are used. The path. How do you begin? You start with curiosity, real curiosity. Not the kind that asks what grade you will get, the kind that stays up at night because you must know, the kind that follows questions wherever they lead. You continue with discipline, not the discipline of assignments and deadlines, the discipline of showing up every day to learn, of reading when you are tired, of questioning when it is easier to accept. You deepen with humility, knowing that for everything you know, there is infinitely more you do not know. The disgustingly educated person is not arrogant. They are the opposite. They know enough to know how little they know. You expand with connection, connecting what you learn in one domain to what you learn in another, building a web of understanding, not a pile of facts, seeing the patterns beneath the surface. You persist with love, love of learning itself, not love of what learning gets you, status, money, approval, love of the act, love of the expansion, love of becoming more than you were. And finally, you embrace strangeness. You accept that you will not fit, that you will be too much for some, not enough for others, that your education has made you different, and different is the price of depth. The reward. What waits for you on the other side? Freedom. Not the freedom of ignorance, that is just captivity you do not recognize. The freedom of seeing, the freedom of understanding, the freedom of not being controllable because you are not deceivable. You gain the ability to choose, not the illusion of choice presented by those who manipulate you, real choice, choice based on understanding, choice based on seeing the full landscape, not just the brightly lit path. You gain the ability to see through advertising to the manipulation beneath, through politics to the power beneath, through culture to the programming beneath. You are no longer a consumer of surfaces, you are a reader of depths.
You gain the ability to build, not build what you are told to build what you choose to build, using the tools of understanding you have forged through years of disgusting education. You become a creator, not just a consumer. You gain the ability to be, not the being of someone defined by others, the being of someone self-defined. You are not what your degree says, not what your job says, not what your culture says. You are what you have made yourself through years of relentless, disgusting education. The invitation. You have been educated in the usual way. You have been schooled, processed, credentialed, and look where it has brought you. Are you free, or are you simply a more sophisticated servant? The invitation is not to learn more, it is to learn differently. Not to collect more facts, but to see more deeply. Not to know more answers, but to ask better questions. Not to be more impressive, but to be less controllable. Begin with one question you have been afraid to ask, one book you have been afraid to read, one idea you have been afraid to explore. Follow it, see where it leads, and do not be surprised if it leads to places they told you not to go. The disgustingly educated person is not born. They are made by countless hours of reading, thinking, questioning, connecting, made by the courage to be strange, made by the willingness to pay the price of knowing. The world will not thank you for this. The world prefers you ignorant, controllable, predictable. The world will call you strange, difficult, excessive. Let them. Their opinion is the price of your freedom. You will not be everyone's cup of tea. You will be too much for small minds, not enough for shallow hearts. But you will be enough for yourself, and that, in the end, is the only approval that matters. The art of being disgustingly educated is not about impressing anyone, it is about being someone who cannot be fooled, someone who cannot be controlled, someone who sees clearly in a world designed to confuse. This is the gift you give yourself, not a degree to hang on a wall, not a credential to impress an employer, not a status to display at parties, a mind that cannot be bought, a self that cannot be owned, a freedom that cannot be taken. You have one life, one mind, one chance to see clearly before the lights go out. The question is not whether you will be educated. The question is whether you will be educated enough, disgustingly enough, dangerously enough, freely enough. The world will try to educate you just enough to be useful, just enough to be controllable. Be disgustingly more, be dangerously free.